or so, well, a bit longer than that actually. 2001. You joined the Boro on loan. What was your knowledge of English football at that time, and of the Boro in particular?
No, not much actually, as my own experience, but just actually I would say my hero was Eric Cantona. So I follow a lot in England just by watching on TV, obviously, but never been before, and it was just a dream to come through, you know.
Yeah. And I mean, you didn't start too badly. If I remember rightly, your first home game was against Sunderland and you scored. I mean, were you aware of how big that game is to Boro fans before the match kicked off?
I realized just after that, to be fair, because I knew it was a derby game, but just arrived in Middlesbrough when that happened, and actually I realized afterwards.
Yeah. I mean, so it was a great start for you. And obviously during that season, we had a good FA Cup run, and we got all the way to the semi-final, and we played Arsenal at Old Trafford. Do you remember anything in particular about the cup run or the game against Arsenal itself, Frank?
I do remember this game. Not about much about the cup run, but especially the game at Old Trafford against because there are a lot of French players in front of us. Sylvain Wiltord, Manuel Potti, Vieira, and stuff. And to be fair, some of the French guys told me that we were deserving to win this game. To be fair, I remember in front we didn't win that, no luck, and we lost 1-0, and it was just was terrible because overall we deserved the win.
Yeah, so I mean that season Arsenal won the double, didn't they? And they were a really good team, and I think just before that game we had a spate of injuries, suspensions. Not many people fancied us on the day, yet we put in a really strong performance, and like you say, probably unlucky to lose the game.
Yes, exactly. But it just, big teams got a bit of a special thing, and they got a little bit of extra luck when it comes, and talent, obviously. But it's on the day we were better, but we lost.
Well, there was a bit better news for you towards the end of the season, because obviously you got yourself a full-time contract at the Boro. Did you have an inkling before the season ended that the Boro were going to keep you on full-time, Frank, or was it right at the end of the season that they told you would be signing permanently?
Yeah, I thought there was I can say that they were not going to sign me because I took a few red cards just before the end of the season. But no, obviously it was in my footballing career. I think it was the best 5 years, I would say, spent.
Nice for you to say. I mean, just going to mention about the red cards. I think the following season, your first full season, you got 3 red cards, Frank. Was that always sort of like part of your game, or was it in a way a conscious effort to fit in with like the physicality of what some people see the English league as being like?
Yes, but I want to say that I never took a straight red. Always took 2 yellows to make a red, but it wasn't. It's just my. I would say I'm here, so that's it.
So obviously there was that season, your following season, was the big season for a lot of Boro fans. The season where we won the League Cup, and you were like an integral part of that side. And again, through the run, there was memorable matches. A lot of Boro fans will never forget the game at Tottenham in the quarter-final, where we drew 1-1, we got a late equaliser through Michael Ricketts, and then the incident in the penalty shootout involving yourself. And a lot of Boro fans remember that. Do you want to, just in case some Boro fans don't recall it, tell them what happened, Frank?
But actually, Mendy got the penalty to win the game just before that. He missed it. And I think is Tarico just after that from Tottenham go and miss it as well. Hit the post or something, or
that's right, yeah.
Just hit it wide. And then I come like I was in the training ground actually, and I went on to the penalty spot with juggling on my head the ball. So it just like I was in a training ground, like I did the day before.
Were you really feeling that relaxed, Frank, taking it though?
Yeah, but it was like a win-win situation for me.
Yeah.
So I could miss, and but we were not disqualified, but we qualified as scored. So that's the most important thing.
Yeah. Lee Bailey's there got in touch. He's obviously remembered it. You walk into the penalty spot, juggling the ball on your head. And there's like loads of fans getting in touch. Obviously, really pleased to see you on 8 tonight, Frank. Mark not there. Great to see one of the best left backs to wear a Boro shirt. And he's obviously picked out your crossing skills as well. And it was something in your game you weren't afraid of getting forward, and you were involved in set pieces as well, weren't you?
Yes, I just wanted to say thanks for all the comments I saw on screen. So thank you guys, and I'll be back in May 2021 for the charity game with Michael Beck. And yes, I was involved on the free kicks a lot. As I like to put my head where sometimes nobody will put his feet, but I got a few stitches in my head, but doesn't matter at the end. So yes, and taking the set piece as well on straight away from not only corners and stuff, but straight away.
Ian Ross has just commented here about you've still got a bit of a Boro accent there, Frank. Yeah, you can't shake that off, eh? The Boro accent.
No, I try to adapt for the guys to understand me.
What about viewers here? Ian May's got in touch and he's just said, I don't know if you're aware of Hayden Coulson, who plays for the Boro at the moment. Young fullback, who's played a wing back as well for Boro. If you've seen any of Hayden, what do you think of him in the side at the moment?
To be fair, I haven't. I follow the result, but it's hard to get a live game of Middlesbrough. It's hard to see a game on Middlesbrough. As I know that it's a promising fullback, but I haven't seen him play yet, so I can't really judge on that.
Yeah, that's fair comment, Frank. I mean, just going back to the Carling Cup run and the final itself in 2004. Obviously, it brought Boro its first ever major trophy, and I think everybody could see what it meant to you at the final whistle as well.
Yes, of course, because I would say, was my first trophy too. So it was obviously to share it with the fans was incredible, because the way they welcomed me to the club as well, that was like heartwarming. So actually, that's to give that to the clubs and. Obviously, the staff at the time, Steve Gibson and all the guys in the shade. But obviously, it was incredible.
Yeah, and winning the cup as well, that brought European football as well to the Riverside. And we played some massive games in the 2 seasons following. We had Lazio, Roma, Stuttgart, sides like that. How special was it to be part of a side playing in Europe?
I did play some European game before I arrived to Middlesbrough with Lens. We hit the semi-final as well in UFA Cup. We lost against Arsenal.
Right.
But it was just incredible to get some quite big teams as well to the Riverside. But it was only a pleasure to play some games like that. That's what you want when you play football, to play big games.
Yeah. Mark Knott's asked there as well, Frank. Do you still see, or you're in touch? I know you mentioned earlier on that any of the cup winning team or other players that you played with, but are you still in touch with them now, Frank?
Yes, Mark. I'm still in contact with Jimmy Hasselbank, Ray Parler, Stu Downing, Stu Parnaby, Tony McMahon, Andrew Davis, all the youngsters. Actually, they follow. They're very active on Instagram.
And obviously, that shows the bond that you all developed as a squad as well, and as teammates, doesn't it?
Exactly. That's what we had a fantastic run in UFA Cup, and we were like a cup team, because we had a fantastic atmosphere in the dressing room, because even the players who were not maybe in a group were encouraging us, and that's the most important. We all in the same boat, and we all shoot in the same direction. So that's why we were like a good team, hard to beat on a day.
Yeah. I mean, I wasn't going to mention, Frank, about another red card, but I think you got one in our first away game in Europe, didn't you? In the Strava, did you get a red card in that one as well?
Yeah,
was it
Italian
straight
referee.
Red, was it?
No, it wasn't actually red. 2 yellows.
No.
Yeah. But well, it's like that. Italian referee are not the best.
And then the European games as well, the second season, that brought the comebacks against Basel, Steaua Bucharest. Outside of Middlesbrough, do you think people gave the club and the players the credit they deserve for those achievements, Frank?
I think that after I would say the Basel game, they thought it was like a lucky one. To be fair, but we were glad, and we never give up. That's the thing. That's what I just told earlier. That we were like a group. We're very confident in our strength, and we never give up.
Yeah.
And thank you, Dan. And when we did it again at Bucharest, we show Europe that actually you need to count on Middlesbrough to do something.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then obviously we got to the final, played a really good Seville side. I don't think a lot of Boro fans feel as though the scoreline truly reflected that game. And that turned out to be your last game for the club as well, didn't it, Frank?
Exactly. I come off injured around the 75th minute. Obviously, very disappointed. But after that, we were like 1-0 down. And I think the gaffer tried to do his best to come back with 15 minutes left and put Stu Downing as a left back and came from Massimo. I think I came off from Massimo at the time. And obviously we tried to get, but we get caught on counter attack, and that happened. At least we did play the final. So.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, some achievement for Middlesbrough to get to a European final. I mean, how hard was it for you to leave the club? I mean, you'd made almost 200 appearances for the club. How difficult was it for you to move on to Fulham that summer, Frank?
Quite difficult, to be fair, and but I think it was the end of an era, to be fair.
Yeah.
And it was just, I think, the time to. I wanted to finish on a high, to be fair, but we lost the final, and we get to the final. So for the fans, it was like some incredible, I would say, trip.
Yeah.
For the fans to go, and obviously, if I could change something, it was the result. But no, I couldn't. But I think it was the end of an era. The gaffer as well left the club. Gareth Southgate just as well stopped, I think, and a lot of players quit the club. So, and it was the time for new, fresh legs, I would say.
Yeah.
But no, it was quite difficult.
Yeah. I mean, you mentioned there about Steve Mclaren. He was the manager that signed you, and he was there for you full time at the club. What were things like with Steve Mclaren as well? Because obviously he went on to become England manager after he left Boro, and he had a bit of a difficult spell. But what was he like at the Boro and for yourself, Frank?
But I would say for the relation I've got with Steve Mclaren, like the father and son relationship. You know, arguments. You know, reconciliation. No, it was just you know, we were like talking truth to each other. That was the most important. You know, he was telling me what went wrong, what was good, but nothing on my back, always in front of me. So that I respect. You know, he was like a proper man, and obviously he's one of the best managers I worked with, because he knew how to get the best from each other.
Yeah.
So, and with his staff, obviously, it's he know how to pick the right stuff, the right person around him. So,
yeah,
for me, that's the mark of the good manager, great manager.
just another comment there, Frank. I mean, there's been so many tonight from the Boro fans saying what a pleasure you were to watch and what a good player you were. And the Boro
Thank you
fans,
guys again.
Boro fans will never forget your contribution. Before we let you go, Frank, you had the opportunity, or so we thought at the time. Obviously, you played for France B earlier in your career, but there was word going around that you were going to play for Ireland. What was the story there?
Actually, true story.
Right.
Yes, it's a true story because I've got Irish ancestor, but it's too far for me to get the I would say the nationality, and I had to ask at my granddad at one point to ask the Irish nationality for me to get it. But at the time, my granddad was a little bit sick, so I couldn't ask him to do some, a lot of paperwork and stuff and research. So just didn't happen.
Right. Ireland's lost that, Frank. I'm sure they'd have welcomed you in with open arms playing with them. And I've got to say, thanks for our viewing figures tonight. I think you've more than trebled it, whatever, in terms of the female viewing figures we've had tonight. Kath Sykes has said here, there's a lot of women loving watching Frank on here tonight. And like I say...
thank you. Thanks a lot to everyone.
We've only got a lot of good memories of your time here. And as you said, obviously you're going to be featuring the charity games set up by Mclaren for next year. And we can't wait to see all you legends come back to the Riverside and give you all our thanks for what you achieved down your years at the Boro, Frank. It's been absolute pleasure talking to you, mate.
Okay, it was a pleasure, and stay safe from this difficult period as well, with the COVID and stuff. So you stay safe, guys, and I see you next year.
Yeah. Thanks again, Frank. Take care, mate.
Pleasure. Bye-bye.
There you go, Boro fans. So we've had Franck Queudrue with us tonight. In around 10 minutes or so, we're going to be joined by Mark Crossley. So we've got Mark Crossley to look forward to. He's going to talk about some of his times at the Boro and at Nottingham Forest and his experiences with Brian Clough. Obviously, between now and then, it's the 25th anniversary, obviously, of Boro's first game at the Riverside tomorrow. And we've got things like special occasions to look back on. We've had 2 promotions there, the games with Oxford and Brighton. So I'd be interested to find out what you as Boro fans would class as being the greatest experience at the Riverside. Is it the promotion, the European games? Is it any of the other Premier League matches or League Cup games that we've had? Let us know. Obviously, we've had our first pre-season game today down at Plymouth with the Boro winning 1-0 through a Britta Sombalonga goal. I think we're playing Plymouth again on Thursday now. So we've got that as well to look forward to. And the fixtures came out last week. We've got what looks on paper a bit of a tough start. We've got Watford away and then Bournemouth at home. So there's plenty to chat about. So if you want to get in touch with us over the next few minutes while we're awaiting Mark Crossley's arrival, like I say, Ian, thanks for getting in touch. Mentioned about the European games that were special. I think at the time, I don't know about you, Boro fans, we had 2 seasons of the European games and some of the attendances for some of the games were a little bit disappointing. And maybe, I don't know, do you agree with me that it might have been taken a little bit for granted at the time that we had European football? I know a lot of Boro fans would love to have those days back now, especially the away days, because they were magical. So like I say, get in touch with us. Anything to do with the current side or the past days at the Riverside, more than welcome to have a chat about it. Hope you've enjoyed the Franck Queudrue interview there. Like I say, it's always great to see the legends there and obviously their time on Middlesbrough and the effect it's had on them and the memories that they've got of the club as well. So, like I say, it'd be great to hear from you. Ryan Francis Onley, thanks, Ryan, mate. He's been in touch. He's down in Devon and follows both Boro and Plymouth. And he said today it was a good game between both sides. And I think it was a good workout for the Boro. Obviously, I think Plymouth are a couple of weeks ahead of us in pre-season as the League One and League Two teams started back a couple of weeks earlier. So it's a good test out for the Boro today. And obviously, they've got something from it in the fact that they're going to play the same side again on Thursday. I think it was interesting to see that there was about 18 different players involved from the Boro today. And it seemed to start with quite a strong lineup. Pretty much a first team side with likes of Wood and Stubbs coming on in the second half, but obviously players such as Sam Stubbs, Wood came on. We started with Assombalonga, Fletcher, Howson, McNair, Saville, all involved from the start. So, like I say, good work out for the lads, and hopefully the start of a decent season. I know Frank told me before we went on air tonight that he fancies Boro for a bit of a promotion push this year, which hopefully turns out to be true. I think it'll obviously take a lot of transformation on the part of Neil Warnock, because it's a big job to do and turn their side around. And I don't know about you, Boro fans, but obviously a lot of people are concerned about the lack of incomings at the moment. Maybe we'll be waiting for more loan players to come, which will be towards the end of the transfer window, which runs till the beginning of October this year. So it's going to make things a little bit difficult for players coming in and new signings. We might have to be a little bit more patient. So we'll wait and see there. David Jackson, thanks for watching, David. David says the UEFA Cup semi-finals his best game. We did enjoy us beating Man City 8-1. Again, you can't believe now that that's just over 10 years ago that we beat Man City 8-1 in a league game. But yeah, magical nights of European games, as Frank said. And obviously beating Man City 8-1 a game, and so many other games are turning over Man United in their pomp 4-1 in what a lot of people class as Mendietta's best game for the club. So lots of great memories there. Chris Andrews has been in touch. Thanks for watching again, Chris. Where are the signings? I think a lot of clubs are just being a little bit patient, because I think there's a possibility that some players are maybe asking for wages and making demands that clubs can't really meet at the moment, especially when there's not the income coming into clubs that there was previously with no crowds coming in. So I think it's a little bit like a game of cat and mouse at the moment between clubs and players and agents. So maybe some players are testing the water and seeing what they can get. But the clubs are just sitting tight a little bit, because I want to make sure they get value for money, because we don't know how things are going to be or for how much longer they're going to be as they are at the moment. So that's possibly why clubs aren't taking massive plunges in the transfer market at the moment. Chris has also said that he enjoyed the 4-1 Man United game, which, was an amazing game. As I say, the Ravanelli, the first game, the 3-3, his hat-trick on the opening day of the season. That whole season was a magical season. I mean, it's a difficult one to weigh up when you think about the Legends game next year. For Boro fans, what was your favourite team? Would it be the 96-97 team that got to the 2 cup finals and were relegated? Or would it be the 2004-6 team, which won the League Cup and got into Europe and got to a UEFA Cup final? It's an interesting one to look at. So, obviously, the second part of our show, and our Legends show tonight, is involving Mark Crossley. And Mark's joining us now. How are you, Mark? You all right, mate?
I'm all right, thanks. Yeah, good. Really good.
Stuff. Great to see you.
I'm at the brother-in-law's house up in County Durham, and I'm sat in his little man cave, and I'm surrounded by Newcastle shirts, so I thought I'd better get England one in the background there.
That's all right. You're on good ground there, like Frank, Mark, but get Newcastle stuff now. We don't want to see any of that tonight, mate.
No. We've got that in the back. We've got England in the background, look.
That doesn't compromise you with your Welsh connections or anything then, Mark?
It don't. Well, I did England under 21s, 3 caps, and then I got to about 26-year-old and I weren't good enough to play for England, so I had to go and play for Wales then, did I? So, I loved it. I've got strong family connections with Wales as well, so that was good.
Good stuff. I mean, it's probably fair to say, Mark, that most football followers will probably associate you with your time at Nottingham Forest. And you played under Brian Clough there, who obviously he's a son of Middlesbrough. And I think people from Middlesbrough are very proud of Brian Clough and what he achieved. What are your memories of Clough? You've probably got thousands of stories you could tell about. I mean, just on a day-to-day basis, what was he like, Mark?
Different. A brilliant man manager. He wasn't a coach. He kind of stuck to a 4-4-2 system and never changed. And he signed players that fitted into that system. You had rules as a player. Basically, what my rule as a goalkeeper was, stop the ball from going in the goal. That was it. That was all I was expected to do. Fullbacks, stop crosses. Play forward when you can. Centre halves, edit and kick it as far away from my goal as possible, he used to say. Midfield players play forward. Wingers cross the ball for the centre forward, and if the centre forward's not there, it's not your fault. And the centre forwards get hold of the ball, caress it, because it's yours, keep hold of it, but when you get hold of it, pass it to someone that can play. Then get in the box, score me a diving header, and preferably get cut while you're doing it because it looks better. So they were the rules, simple rules, and you had to abide by them. But no, he was a great man. He didn't only teach me about football, and I think a lot of players that played under him will say the same, that he taught us a lot about life skills in general. He was just a great man.
Yeah. I mean, I've been watching this week, there's been a documentary about when English teams ruled Europe, and it mentioned about the 2 seasons Forest won the European Cup, which I mean is an unbelievable achievement, which I don't think anything like that will happen again with a similar sized club. But what comes across in it is the confidence he had, even like drawing games at home, 3-3, going second leg. He just had total confidence in how he approached things, didn't he, Mark?
It's like he knew. It's like he was always one step ahead. So, and he would get his teams ready. If there was a 2-legged game, it was a 3-3. He'd just concentrate on a clean sheet, and like that'd be his main focus during the week prior to a massive game. Is you don't concede a goal, you've got a chance. So he was very, very, very clever in the way he set his teams up and the way he used to relax his players. He used to make me have a pint on a Friday night, before a game on a Saturday. He'd come in and go, everybody have a pint, and he'd sit there and he'd watch you, or a glass of wine. He was just that type of fella that everybody just had the utmost respect for. I mean, I was on the back end of plenty of bollockings, you know what I mean? But in the 6 years that I worked with him, I wasn't a saint, I've got to say that. But I think the one thing he got out of me is that, the first thing I ever did, I signed a blank contract. So my first professional contract, he called me into his office and he put a contract on the table and it was blank. And he used to call me, am I allowed to say shithouse?
Yeah. Go for it.
He used to call me shithouse. So I put the contract on the table and he said, shithouse, sign the contract, son. I said, I can't sign that, gaffer. He said, sign it or piss off and play for Barnsley, where you're from. Now, Barnsley were in the 3rd division at the time, so I didn't want to do that. So I had to sign a blank contract. And he filled it in. He filled the contract in. I rang my old man. I said, I've just signed a blank contract at Forest Professional. When my dad called me all the names under the sun, as you can imagine. But he looked after you. And that was the big thing about him. He did things like that to see if you trusted him. And if you trusted him, he would then trust you. And that was the brilliance behind what a man manager he was.
Oh, amazing. I mean, I don't know if there's a story behind this, but Peter McDermott's been in touch with you. He said, did Mark ever get fish and chips off Cloughy?
Well, I made my debut against Liverpool, and he didn't tell me that I was going to play. I was only an apprentice at the time, and with 4 other goalkeepers on the books, and for one thing or another, they couldn't play. There was only me left to play, so I made my debut against Liverpool, a night game, 7:45 kickoff, and he didn't tell me that I was playing until 7 o'clock that night. And because we used to live in Diggs, which was just around the corner from the ground, as apprentices, we used to have to go to the ground early to make sure, get all your jobs done and everything. Yeah. So quite often, a few of the lads would walk round and we'd have fish and chips on the way around. And that night, I'd had fish, chips, mushy peas and gravy before I made my debut against Liverpool. So that ended up being my pre-match meal against Liverpool on my debut.
How did it go, Mark?
We won 2-1. I didn't have a lot to do. He rang my old man during the day and he said, Mr. Crossley, get yourself down to the game tonight. Mark's playing, but whatever you do, don't tell him because he'll shit himself. So that's why he told me at 7 o'clock. And we won the game 2-1 and things went quite well. So it was brilliant that I had just thrown you in at 7 o'clock, knowing that if you would have had all day to think about it, you know, you start to think negatively sometimes and what's the worst things that can happen. But when you've got half an hour to get ready for a game, you've got to get out there and just do your best. And again, the management behind it, you didn't have time to think about what was going to happen. You just go and play a game of football. And it was his way of finding out whether you could handle it as a professional. Cross the white line in front of 35,000 against Liverpool. That's how you get thrown in at the deep end.
We've got a great story here from Mark. Mark, thanks again for your contributions to the show. He said, Mark, you nicked his Boro scarf in the players' lounge at Forest, thinking it was a Forest one, and give it to a young Forest fan who sat on it all evening, and we didn't have the heart to tell him it was a Boro scarf.
Oh,
does that sound like something you do?
It is definitely something I do, mate. Yeah. Just with it being red and white, I just thought, oh, this is typical. And I would have thought I was doing the right thing, but probably knowing me, getting it all wrong again. Typical goalkeeper.
Did Cloughie have a lot of time for goalkeepers with him being an ex-striker and stuff like that? Was he always having a bit of a dig at goalies?
Do you know what? He did. He had some of the best. He had Shilton, he had Van Breukelen. With Shilton, he probably had the best goalkeeper in the world at the time, and he did. He was quite picky on the type of goalkeeper that he picked. You know, he liked someone that was vocal. He liked someone that had good distribution, and I think that's why I kind of. And he liked people that got a load of balls. To be honest.
Yeah.
And I think that's one thing I can honestly say is that every time I played, I always went out and played with a lot of balls. You know, so. I think from being an apprentice right through getting into his first team, he knew that when I was crossing the white line, that he could kind of rely on me to a certain extent. I'd have to go back to that Liverpool game. After the game, typical Brian Clough. He comes in and you can imagine I was really, really pleased that we'd just beat Liverpool and it's your debut. And the natural thing is when you make your debut, you get the match ball. And you get it signed by all your teammates on the night. Well, he came into the dressing room and he asked me to follow him to the referee's room. So I followed him. He knocked on the door and he said to the referee, he said, I'd like the match ball for the shithouse from Barnsley. And I was with him. So the referee said, I can't give you the ball. Mark's not scored a hat-trick. I can only give the ball to someone who scores an hat-trick. Anyway, he nicks the ball out the referee's hand, gives it to me and tells me to piss off with a ball. So I run off with a ball, get it signed by all the players, all my teammates on the night. He comes back into the dressing room. He said, young man. I said, yes, boss. He said, I'd like you to go and knock on their dressing room door and ask if they'll sign it as well. Now, we just beat Liverpool 2-1, and he wanted me to go and knock on their dressing room door and ask them to sign the football that I just made my debut with. So off I goes down the corridor. He's watching me. I thought, what I'll do is I'll get halfway down and I'll just turn back and I'll just say they refuse to do it. So as I turn back, he goes, knock on the door, shithouse, knock on the door. So I had to go and knock on the door. To be fair to Kenny Dagley, she was absolutely brilliant and he knew why I was there and he got me in the dressing room and he let me get the ball signed. So I still have that match ball today signed by all the Forest and Liverpool players on the night. So... Amazing. Brilliant management again.
Yeah. Oh, these are great stories, and so many people getting in touch, Mark, saying that they love the stories, they love the Brian Clough. Like you say, could listen to it all day long, and it must have been a joy to go into work each day, although you probably had a little bit of fear as well.
Definitely. I mean, it was one of them people who walked into a dressing room and he's got a presence about him. And, rugby shirt, green sweater, blue tracky bottoms. Quite often he had a pair of wellies on. He would have a tennis racket or a squash racket in his hand, sometimes a flat cap on. And there was just this, it was like God had walked into the room and he brought instant silence to a dressing room, just his presence. And it was the same when you're walking down the corridor. What he didn't like you with your hands in your pockets. He didn't like you unshaven. he had the attitude of look scruffy, play scruffy, you know, and don't stand and talk to me with your hands in your pockets. And if you did, he used to take you up to the ladies that used to do all your kit, and he'd make you stand there and sew your pockets up so you couldn't put your hands in your pockets again. And it was just all little things, little life skills where when you shake your hands with someone, make sure you look them in the eye. But everything was to do about respect and for your peers. He was just phenomenal. I can remember walking down the corridor once and he was walking the other way. And the easy thing to do is turn around and walk back and pretend you forgot something. Or you get the call, where do you think you're going, son? Where do you think you're going? Go and make me a cup of tea, please. 2 sugars. So, no, he was just brilliant. I love talking about him, as you can probably tell. I've got that much respect. And I owe all my football career that I managed to play at, I owe it to him, really.
Oh, some tribute that, Mark. Yeah, it's great that. Obviously, you then moved to the Boro from Forest and you signed for Brian Robson. Was that a difficult decision to make after making so many appearances and being at Forest for so long?
Well, Forest got David Platt as manager and he wanted to make a fresh start, so he got rid of all the players that were still lingering around, and I was one of them, one of the old school. Myself and Ian Wone and Steve Chettle, we'd been there years and years, and you know, to be fair, we didn't get on with David Platt. He wanted to change things, so I become a free agent. It was my testimonial year, and it was difficult, and I agreed to sign a contract for Ibs. Up in Scotland, wanted to go up to Edinburgh, loved it. But the day before I was going up to sign, I'd agreed a contract. I got a phone call from Colin Cooper, who was an ex-teammate at Forest. And he said, "Big man, have you signed your contract at Ibs yet?" And I said, "No, I haven't." He says, "The gaffer wants to have a word with you here." So Brian Robson then calls me. I said, "I've already agreed a contract with Alex McLeish at Ibs." It was a good contract. Ibs were doing really, really well in the Scottish League. It was a new change of life, and I thought, I'm going to give it a go. And he said, "Listen, get yourself up here." He says, "We've got Big Schwartzy up here, good keeper." He says, "But we need someone like you. Come and liven the dressing room up and you know, use your character. If you get in, you do well, and make sure you stay in," and all that. So it was and I've got to be honest, the bloody money was good. Do you know what I mean? So that's just me being honest. A lot better than what I was going to get Ibs. So I diverted. I went to Middlesbrough, had a medical, passed it, and then I had to ring Alex McLeish. Once I went to Herworth and seen the training ground and everything, you know, there was no going to Ibs, and I knew Boro were fanatical supporters about the football. They're doing well in the Premier League. And it was a no-brainer in the end. Absolutely loved it. Even though I would have liked to have played a little bit more, the club, and I'm not just saying it, were fantastic. Brilliant chairman, great supporters, great training ground. I lived in a little village called Rainton down the A1 and just loved every bit of it.
Oh, it's great that you still have those memories of the Boro, Mark. I mean, like you mentioned there, you just alluded to about playing more games. I think a lot of Boro fans at the time, especially in the 2001-2 season, I think you went on a run of about 9 clean sheets in 16 games.
Yeah.
And then you got dropped for Mark Short when he regained his fitness. Did that sort of stick in your throat a bit, mate?
Well, Steve Mclaren had took over then, and he liked Schwartzy. And Schwartzy's a brilliant keeper. I've got no qualms about it. Fantastic keeper, great to work with, great lad. But for me, as a goalkeeper, there shouldn't be a number 1 and there shouldn't be a number 2. I went to Boro thinking I've got a lot of experience. If I get in, I can stay in. I believe in my own ability, I can stay in. And my chance came, and it couldn't have gone any better. Like you say, 9 clean sheets in 16 games. The team were climbing up the table. The team were playing well. We weren't. I think we only lost 3 out of the 16. And as soon as Mark was fit, Steve McLaren made the decision to put him back in, which, as a pro who's been in the game for a long time, at 32, 33 years old, for me, it wasn't the right decision. And I wanted to play. And Birmingham tried to sign me. And I was kind of messed about a little bit because I wanted to go and play because the contract was coming to an end. Birmingham wanted me to go as their number one under Steve Bruce. I was messed about a little bit, so I just got a little bit frustrated. Not with the club, or it just I should have stayed in the team. He should have kept me in the team until I deserved to be left out of the team, and it didn't work like that. So it's a bit soul destroying when you're playing really, really well and the team's doing well and you're getting to know your back four and the crowd have tucked here. And I used to kick the ball a mile, and every time I kicked it, they used to go, "Wow, how far can he kick the ball?" And it was probably one of Mark Schwartz's downfalls, was his kicking. So I should have stayed in. I have to say that they should have kept me in for longer.
Yeah. Oh, Christopher Joy there. I don't know if you saw the captain. He was saying that you were involved in a lot of great games for the club in those 16 appearances that you made, Matt, and you made a big difference to the season that year. You left and you went to Fulham. Now, obviously, they've had Mohammed Al Fayed as the owner of the club then. What was life like at Craven Cottage then?
Well, I always said that I would never, ever go as a number 2 anywhere again after Boro. And the only reason I went to Fulham is Chris Coleman was manager, who I played with at Wales, and he was a good friend. So Mike Taylor, who was at Fulham, ended up going to Birmingham because I was messed about. So then Chris said to me, "Why don't you come to Fulham?" And I said, "I'm not coming as a number 2 ever again." He said, "Well, look after you." He said, "Edwin van der Sar's here." He said, "He ain't going to be here long, big man. When he goes, I will guarantee you that's your chance." And true to his word, that's what happened. But I just suffered from terrible injuries and I could never get a run of games. So my career, again, fell short at Fulham. But working under Al Fayed was a massive bonus because you got 33% off everything at Harrods, which still made it more than what you'd pay in the normal shops anyway. But the biggest bonus was every Christmas you used to get an hamper from Harrods as a present from Mr. Al Fayed. And that hamper was worth about £1,000 with all the champagne and the cheeses and all that on him. So I didn't have to buy any of the family any Christmas presents anymore because I just gave them all stuff from Harrods. So yeah, that was one of the bonuses. He didn't know anybody's name, Al Fayed. He only knew Edwin van der Sar's name because he was paying him £50,000 a week. All the others, he got no idea who we were. But another great club. I've been lucky to play for some really, really good clubs.
Yeah, it's good. That I mean, TM, as I said, love Big Mark Crossley. Says it how it is, and he should have kept his place. We had Franck Queudrue on earlier, Mark, and he spoke about the possibility of playing for Ireland after he played for France B. Now, obviously, we said earlier you had the England picture in your background there.
Yeah.
You played for England under the 21s and went on to play for Wales, didn't you?
Yeah, I did. How that works is I played for England under 21s in the Toulon tournament in France and we won the tournament. But then I become a regular at Forest. I was playing really, really well. But we had the likes of David Seaman and Nigel Martin. There was a lot of competition for goalkeeper at the time. And when I got to 1995-96 season, I was playing out my skin and I couldn't honestly think I could play any better. And I still never got the call, but I did get a call from Bobby Gould and from Craig Brown because I've got Scottish ancestry and I've got Welsh, much stronger Welsh. And I am English, and I don't agree with the rules, but you get a phone call and get told that you're going to play against Germany, Brazil, you try and turn that opportunity down. Now, I couldn't do it. And I was in 43 squads. I only got 8 caps, again, through injury and stuff like that. But, again, no Welshman can ever say that I never gave 100% and dropped out of squads or when I played I didn't try my best. So, and I loved it, and I'm proud that I represented Wales.
Good stuff, great stuff.
You won't believe it with this accent, mate, would you?
No, you're just a little bit north of Cardiff there, aren't you? Your accent, yeah.
Yeah.
Mark not wants to know, is that a Paul Gascoigne shirt behind you there, Mark?
Is it? Oh, it's a Gaza shirt, yeah.
Yeah.
Like I said, I'm just visiting I'm just visiting the brother-in-law at the moment, and all the kids are in the house. So I've come into his man cave, and I dare not turn this camera around because I will we'll get some bad publicity.
I've just seen a few there, Mark. You let slip. There's a few Newcastle tops there. We'll let you off, though, mate. It's all right. It's okay.
I can go in the garden if you want. It's not a problem.
We're all right. If it had been Sunderland, we might have changed our mind, but we'll let you off with Newcastle. Okay. Before we let you go, Mark, you had quite a record in penalty shootouts and saving penalties in general during your time, particularly with Forest. I mean, you saved a penalty in an FA Cup final, saved one off Matt Letitia, which I don't know if anybody else ever did. Was there a secret behind that, Mark?
No, I was just a good guesser. No, I did study a little bit, but I must admit, I think, especially in the modern game, you get all this information put in front of you and slowing videos down and saying, look at his run up, look at him do this, look what he does here. For me, it's a load of nonsense because the players are that good, they can change at the last second anyway. Now, most of them have a preferred side that they want to take it. My tactic, all I would used to do was I'd try and delay them as much as possible. And I would always fake one to go one way, and I would always go the other. My best side to dive technically was to my right hand side, although I saved Lineker's penalty in the FA Cup final to my left. I just got a gut instinct, and I'm a big believer. You got a gut instinct, you go with it, and don't change your mind. And it worked for me. So yeah, I think Tiz had 48 penalties and only missed the one. Yeah, still living off it.
Don't blame you, mate. Don't blame you. Last thing I want to ask you, Mark, is obviously recently you've set up a charity with another ex-Boro player, Dean Windass, and Chris Kirkland, former Wigan goalkeeper. Do you want to tell us a bit about it, Mark?
Yeah, I'd love to. Basically, what happened, I'd been in the game. My story is I'd been in the game for 33 years. I got the sack as a coach for the first time on January the 2nd this year. I was working at Chesterfield, and I was ready for a break from football because your family suffer, because the world revolves around you. I'm not complaining here, by the way. Yeah. And your weekends are gone, and the only time you get off is 6 weeks in the summer when you've got to spend fun. Now, I was ready for a break, spend it with the family, but when I came out of it, I struggled really, really bad. I had no structure to my life. I was staying in bed and when I shouldn't have been and all stuff like that. My dad got cancer. He's recovered now, which is great. But I really, really struggled. And I spoke to Chris Kirkland, who I knew, and Dean Windass, who I know from a Boro days as well. And they'd been quite open about their issues as well. So we said, right, listen, why don't we get together, set up a charity group we called Watch, which is Walking and Talking Charity Hikes. We're doing Kilimanjaro next year, and all the proceeds are going to mental health and NHS UK, and it's just gone absolutely berserk. It really, really has. So there's myself, Dean Windass, Chris Kirkland, Nigel Jemson, John Parkin, Steve Howie, Leon McKenzie, and a few more to name. I can't just think off the top of my head, but all ones that have been quite open and spoke about the problems. Now, we're big believers that it's not 1 in 4 people that it gets put out there that men that suffer with and women suffer with mental health issues. On whatever scale it may be, it's more like 3 in 4. And we all have it at some stage in our life. And what we've tried to do with our video blogs and stuff like that is to get people talking, and it's working. It is definitely working. So we've set up this charity to distribute all the funds to mental health organisations. As simple as that, really.
Yeah, that's fantastic, that, Mark. I want to wish you every luck in the world with that, Mark. It's a great cause. And like I say, thank you so much for giving up your time tonight and sharing your stories and your memories with us on Boro Fan TV. It's given us all such a laugh. It's been brilliant, mate. You take care of yourself, pal.
Take care. All the best.
Look after yourself. Thanks a lot, Mark. Cheers, mate. Thanks there to Mark Crossley and also Franck Queudrue earlier on for joining us tonight. It's been a real pleasure to be a part of the show, and I hope you've enjoyed it out there, Boro fans. If you've enjoyed it, don't forget to like and subscribe to Boro Fan TV. Join us next week as we're going to continue the build-up to the season. We've got the Shrewsbury game on the Friday night in the League Cup, the first game of the season. Until then, from me, James Hutchinson, good night and up the Boro.